Equity markets are hot, and look at the ICICI Securities numbers that have come in overnight. It's a phenomenal set of numbers. Let me just take you through them. You see a 42% year-on-year growth when it comes to the bottom line. That's a 380 crore rupee figure that has been reported for the December quarter. The company's revenues rose 52% year-on-year, coming in at 942 crores. The company's added 680,000 new users. That's a growth of 386%. So, we talk about the penetration of the markets. You've got markets at all-time highs, outperforming the rest of the world. And look at the numbers that are being reported by ICICI Securities, which in its press release has also talked about going after the younger lot, the Gen Zs, the millennials, how it's seen IT professionals take to the markets and how it's been digitizing. To talk about this and more, Vijay Chandok, the MD and CEO of ICICI Securities, joining us live. So Chandok, a fabulous set of numbers. I know the stock is under pressure at the moment, but just looking at the kind of net additions that you have announced for the company and how you've targeted them well, tell us more. So when you talk about these digitization activities and how you've got the younger crowd into ICICI Securities, how did you do that and how will you continue to do that?
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on this show. Very good morning to all the viewers. Thanks for your comments on the numbers. Yes, it has been a period of good acquisition, particularly through the digital mode. And the composition of customers that we've acquired actually is to do with the manner in which we are acquiring them. We've moved into an open architecture digital acquisition mode about 6-8 quarters back now. What it means fundamentally is that you could just download the app or just go to Google and search for us and figure out an entry into our company, all done in 5-15 minutes. You're good to start trading. That's the kind of mode that we have sort of activated, and that is the way in which the young Indian today likes to think. And that's what has helped us grow our digital franchise. So we continue to invest in this, try to keep improving experiences as we acquire these customers to keep this momentum going as we move into the future quarters.
Mr. Chandok, for the quarter that's under review as well, I'm sure a lot of that would have been helped by the IPOs, right? Because it coincides with the Nike IPO, the Policy Bazaar IPO. You even had Paytm.
Indeed. If you actually were to segment our performance and look at it business by business, there has been a growth across all the business segments. Whether it was the retail equities, which has grown both sequentially as well as quarter on quarter, whether it be the distribution business, which is distribution of financial products that we do, that's also shown growth quarter on quarter. Our wealth management business has grown quarter on quarter, and so also the business you pointed out, which is the issuance services, the IPOs that we handle. I think there has been a growth across both sequentially as well as quarter on quarter. So yes, even the growth of IPO market has certainly helped. But it's not just that, it's been both across.
Morning, Vijay. Nikunj also joining in. While numbers on the headline are strong, upgrades have come in. But the real gray area is that you're adding new customers. Indians are moving more towards equity as an asset class allocation, but your retail revenue from broking has remained under pressure. And we all know that brokerage rates are only going to go down, they will not go up. So how would you address that concern?
Yeah, so Nikunj, this is an issue which is not an issue of today. This is an issue which has been playing out for the last 5 years. And I'll tell you how we've been dealing with this. The way in which broking is now getting sort of charged to customers is not just in that headline number of broking, but in form of various charges. And we collectively call that cohort as the equity revenue cohort. It's very similar to probably what's happening in the airline industry, where you not just charge for the fare, but you want a corner seat, you want a lunch, you want a fast checkout, excess luggage, and so on and so forth. So there are different types of charges that have gotten introduced. In the olden format, it was just one charge where everything was subsumed. So equity cohort represents that new method that the digital players or the discount players charge. So I would request you to look at equities business as a combination of brokerage and other charges that you can see as a cohort rather than brokerage on its own. And if you were to look at that number for our company and look at it sequentially, as well as quarter on quarter, you will see that it has grown. So the singular line item brokerage is not really representative of the manner in which customers pay for the services that they do. So please look at it in that context.
Fair point. How much of the business you would say has enjoyed in cyclical upturn? And nothing wrong with enjoying a cyclical upturn. All businesses do. When I say cyclical upturn, the surge in retail investors opening demat accounts, the surge in new millennium getting active on the trading front, the big uptake which happened because of the IPO market. How much of the cyclicality may not play out in this year?
Yeah. So, we've looked at this whole question of cyclicality in our business for a decadal period, the last 10 years. What we really find for our company, the manner in which cyclicality has actually played out in practice, is that look at the company's performance in cohorts of 3-year blocks. During the last decade, we've seen that if you were to look at profit and revenue of the company over blocks of 3 years and look at the growth that we have demonstrated in the 3-year blocks, you'll find that it's a kind of a secular story. Intra 3 years, there have been cyclicality colors. How are we dealing with it? To deal with the intra 3-year cyclicality colors is by actually diversifying, going into distributing products which tend to be not dependent on market. So if you look at the contribution of the total equity revenue, broking and equity revenue, as a percentage of the rest of the company's revenue, which has a relatively non-cyclical sort of a color, which is distribution business, wealth management business, distribution of loans that we do, distribution of insurance products that we do, they tend to be away from cyclical nature. That collective cohort is actually growing as a percentage of our total revenue. So by pursuing this approach, our endeavor is to reduce the intra 3-year cyclicality. Given where India is, given where the capital markets is, the extent of penetration, viewed from a 3-year time window, you actually see a secular story and not really a cyclical story.
Sure. Which I also wanted to understand what's happening to penetration levels. I mean, smaller cities and towns, are they contributing too, or does it continue to remain a pretty much metro story?
So it's a tale of two plays. One is volumes, the other is numbers. When you look at volume, the volume is still concentrated amongst the larger cities. That's where the economic horsepower is clearly sitting. So volumes are driven there. But when you look at numbers, number of clients, the kind of number of trades that they do, that is spreading more into tier 2, tier 3 cities. But the economic horsepower that's available is still to really be a large number, particularly in relation to the tier 1, tier 2 cities. I suppose it's going to take more time before economic horsepower starts becoming meaningful in tier 2, tier 3 cities as well.
Sure. Vijay, great to have you, get in your insights on which way ICICI Securities has been in the third quarter and which way things are going to move forward going along.